Hey everyone, and welcome into the first episode of the Locker Room for the spring semester. I'm joined today by Jacob Sennholz and Alex Strouf. Guys, it's been a while, so how was your winter break?
Mine was just peachy. Got to work a little bit, relaxed. That's about it.
Yeah, it was fine. I'm glad the university decided I was good enough to come back. So happy to be back with you.
Us, me and Jake as well.
Yeah.
I feel like always during winter break, a lot of important sports stuff happens. So
No doubt.
it's going to be a jam-packed show tonight.
Let's do it.
All right, so it's going to be a jam-packed show tonight. We'll bring everyone up to speed on Pointer athletics, recap the end of the Packers and Badgers football season, try to figure out what's wrong with Badger basketball. We'll break down the big Brewer moves from last week. We'll discuss the Bucs head coaching change, and then we'll also give you our Super Bowl 52 predictions. Starting things off tonight, the Pointers men's basketball team went 6-4 in games that were played over winter break. And last week, their biggest win came over then number 2 UW Whitewater. This past weekend, the Pointers beat UW La Crosse 76-62. Cannon O'Haron led the Pointers with the career-high 26 points. That win brings them to 13-6 overall, 7-1 in conference play, and ranked 25th in the country. Guys, what do you think's been the secret to the Pointers' success this season? Alex?
Look, it's something that hasn't been talked. Well, it has been talked about, but it's something that needs to be brought up. The addition of Junior Nate Dodge. This guy's been on fire. I know he hit like 11 three-pointers a game earlier this season. He's leading the team in points per game. He's shooting 49% from outside this year. 49% from outside.
That's going to win you a lot of games.
I think he has 150 attempts. He's shooting 49%. That's going to win you a lot of games. You're right. And then obviously the return of MJ Delmore is huge. Cannon O'Hearn's obviously pulling the load. I think he's shooting the highest from the field, playing down low. So I don't think that's necessarily even a secret to their success. They're just doing things well, and it's nice to see them finally get that ranking.
Yeah, pretty much summed it up really well. They're playing well as a team. They're shooting really well, hitting high percentage shots. And they're scoring a lot of points, which, of course, in the game of basketball always helps. And the one thing that they're doing is they're showing up when it matters most. They're only have one loss in all of conference play this year. And, I mean, those are the big games. Those are when you want to step up. That's going to put you in a great position for the postseason. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going off what you said, you just mentioned it, only one loss in conference play. Beating Whitewater, who's then ranked 2, is huge. I'm not sure what they're ranked now. I'm sure they're probably still up in the top 5. But that win was huge. Beating La Crosse was a big win too, and when you win the games that you need to, that's only going to translate to conference tournament time, and then hopefully the national tournament, March Madness, which will be fun to watch. And I have no doubt that the Pointers will probably make the tournament.
The Badgers aren't making it, so hopefully the Pointers do.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about the Badgers later. But Pointers women's basketball team went 3-6 in games played over winter break, and during last week, their most recent game was this past Saturday in the Berg Gym, and they came away with a much-needed conference win as they beat UW La Crosse 73-54. Taylor Barrett led the Pointers with 16 points. That win brings the Pointers record to 9-10 overall, 3-5 in conference play. Alex, you were at that game, so we'll start with you. What worked for them?
Yeah, so I'm the PA announcer for the women's game. I've been at all the home games this year. I think when I look at Saturday's game, they play a UWL team that's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
They lost them by 15 points like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
They turned around. It was the Play for K game for this year, alumni night. The energy in that gym is something I haven't seen all season. And everything came out. Everything was falling. Carly Serrato had 3 three-pointers in the row in the first quarter, and that really got them going, got them out to that lead that they never looked back from. A lot of things are working. The seniors are starting to come up big. The Rowland twins, Lexi and Mickey, and you mentioned Taylor Barrett. All 3 of those ladies, they're playing pretty darn well, and they're starting to get it together. I mean, this team started out slow, as you mentioned. I think they're 3-5 in conference now, and they're starting to get it together. So going into conference, the end of conference play, and eventually the tournament, they're in good shape right now.
Jake, your thoughts?
I admittedly have not seen quite as much as Alex has over the season, but I've called a couple games, and what I've noticed is offense is coming around. Only thing I can say is, especially going into the deeper you make into the postseason, the bigger and taller most likely your competition is going to be. And this Pointers team doesn't have a lot of height on our team, and I've seen them get kind of eaten up down low at a lot of various different points of different games. So if they could figure out how to stop people in the paint, especially when you're going against somebody who is 6'4", 6'5". There was even a 6'6" girl on I'm forgetting the name of the team right now. It was before break, but Yeah, that's my one thing that I think they should shore up is their defense down low.
Yeah, so there's about 3 weeks left of conference play for the Pointers. What does this team need to do to gain some momentum and play well come conference tournament time? Jake?
Like I said, kind of just shore up on that defense. Make sure that you're doing the little things well. Keep shooting really well, picking smart shots, and they've been about a 500 team all season, and just find a way to maybe make it over that hump.
And I think, Jake, you brought up that height, and I did want to touch on that. They have been, Shirley Agner and company have been making some interesting substitutions. They're giving ladies that haven't played a whole lot at the beginning of the season playing time because of the height. Olivia Pollock, the junior, I think she's the second tallest on the team next to Taylor Barrett. She's played well in the post and defensively, and I think that was actually key to lacrosse. They would feed it down low to her, kick it back out, or let her take the shot. Ashley Lederman, the freshman, she's tall. Bailey Collins, another freshman. So they're trying to use that height, obviously, like you mentioned, when it comes to 6'6" girls on the other teams. That's going to be hard to match up with. But they're trying to address that height predicament, if you will.
Yeah, I think, like you guys said, if the Pointers do those things that you guys talked about, there's no doubt that they can definitely cause some trouble for teams in conference play. And if they obviously play well in conference play, then they'll make themselves more attractive to the selection committee, which it'll definitely be interesting to see crunch time for both men's and women's basketball.
No doubt about that, no doubt.
All right, so shifting to the ice now, the Pointers men's hockey team finds itself atop the WIAC with a 15-4-2 overall record, 3-1 in conference play, and they're ranked number 2 in the country. The Pointers enjoyed a well-deserved weekend off this past weekend. So, guys, I ask myself this question every year since I've been going here. What makes this team so good consistently? Jake, you're a big hockey fan, the hockey expert on this show. What's been working for them for the past couple of years?
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed about this team, the past couple of years, same thing with this year, is it's not always easy and it's not always pretty, and they've had some bad losses, but they're a grinded out kind of team. They turn around and they come out with a big, much needed win after maybe a tough loss or something like that. But hockey is a game of you got to ride the ups and downs, and you get better as the season goes on. And these guys prove that year after year after year. They climb the rankings. And they get better. They play as a whole unit. Their passes are crisp. They're scoring goals. They're doing everything they possibly can at the perfect time coming into this home stretch of the season. And, of course, led by your senior goaltender, Max Milosic, who's played well all year long. He knows what it takes to win a national championship. He's been there, which a lot of guys on this team have not. They weren't on the team last time we made it that far. So I think we're in really, really good shape, really good hands. Obviously, we hold 2 victories over the number 1 team in the country right now, so we're sitting very well.
Yeah, Steven's point, you mentioned adjusting to the adversity. They had that big loss against, at the time, top-seeded St. Norbert. I think they had another loss that week, and then they turned it around. 2 big wins over Adrian the next week. And now they've really just been kind of on a winning streak just about since, and now they're ranked 2nd in the nation. Adjusting to the adversity, the aforementioned adversity that Jake mentioned. But I want to mention the seniors. You already mentioned Milosic. I want to mention Tanner Carty, leading the team in shots, goals, everything else. We mentioned him earlier last semester on the show. This guy's coming up big as a senior. And then we have the Western Michigan transfer, another senior, Willem Nong-Lambert, who's also been big offensively. So a lot of the seniors are showing these younger guys how to adjust throughout the season. And as Jake mentioned, it's about adjusting throughout the season. And they've done a good job with that.
Yeah.
Power play, too, has been exceptional all year long.
Killing in when they're on the power play. But I just want to touch on a little bit of what both you guys said. Alex, you mentioned this briefly just now. Those 2 wins against Adrian a week before finals last semester, those 2 wins were absolutely huge. The Pointers needed them, and they came at the right time. Obviously, they swept them at home. They took advantage of that home ice advantage. They were struggling a little bit before that, but I think looking back on this season when it's done, those 2 wins are going to be a defining point. And also going back, not last weekend, but 2 weekends ago, the 20th, I believe, if I remember correctly, they had a game at home Saturday night against UW River Falls. They got down early, a 2-0 deficit, and they were able to battle back and win 3-2. River Falls, they're still a good team, but they're not the dynasty that they once used to be. But the Pointers showing that they can battle back and win, that showed a lot to me. And I don't know about you guys, but I think they're a legit title national title contender.
They are every year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this coaching staff, you always have the seniors that are stepping up with experience on the ice. It's showing now, and it's absolutely the second ranked team in the nation, definitely a title contender.
Yeah, and Alex mentioned too the coaching staff. We mentioned earlier in the year last year on the locker room here that it was going to be a big transition after losing such a successful coach, and this coaching staff has a lot to prove, and I think that both the coaches and the team, everybody involved has proved that they haven't missed a step even after losing Coach Brooks.
Yeah, definitely. So the Pointers women's hockey team played one game this past weekend on Saturday. They came up short in a loss to UW Eau Claire, which dropped them to 11-7-2 overall and 1-3-1 in conference play. Scoring for the Pointers this past weekend was Shannon Motzko, Ali Biagini, and Alex Grubbs. Guys, what does this team have to do to get on some type of run for conference tournament time?
And I've mentioned this before, and it comes to, I guess, every sport. But
yeah,
stick to the fundamentals. Get back to what you were doing earlier in the year. I mean, I know this team weren't they undefeated like the first 5 or 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. So get back to what you were doing well, and then add some things to your repertoire once you get those things back on track. Maybe they've lost sight of those, but I think they'll be fine. Obviously, a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah, they're kind of in the opposite position as the guys. You know, I mentioned with the guys, they started off not that great, and they're playing their best hockey now. The girls kind of opposite. They started playing really, really well. They've kind of fallen off as the year's gone on, but obviously they have that within them. They know how well they can play. They have potential, and like I said, hockey, it's such a game of momentum. Things can change from week to week. So really, if they can just win a timely game here, a game or two, get rolling into the postseason, and of course, you can ride a hot goalie. So
yeah, definitely. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk some Badger football and basketball.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus. Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different Greeks.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruits.
Welcome back to the show. The Wisconsin Badgers football team ended their season in style with a 34-24 victory over Miami in the Orange Bowl back on December 30th, so a while ago. Alex Hornibrook played probably his best game of the season, throwing for 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Danny Davis. Jonathan Taylor capped his phenomenal freshman season with 26 carries for 130 yards. He also set an FBS freshman record for rushing yards with 1,977 yards. Badgers finished 13-1, best record in program history, and finished ranked 7th in the country. Guys, obviously, I think this kind of goes without saying, but this season was a success for the Badgers.
Absolutely. I mean, you set a program record with a 13-1 overall season record. Jonathan Taylor is a phenom, man. This guy is something to watch. Hornibrook wasn't really a success, but he figured it out.
Capped the season well.
Exactly. And you know what they say? To be the man,
you got to beat the man.
You got to beat the man, the legendary Ric Flair. And they did that.
Woo, baby.
Woo, baby. They did that to end the season with that big win over Miami, who people thought could be a national title contender toward the beginning of the season. So it was nice to see them cap the season off the right way.
Jake?
Yeah, for me, the game just meant a couple different things. It was nice to see us go in to obviously the Citrus Bowl, which is the home field.
Basically a home game for Miami.
It was a home game, and still have such an excellent performance and have a no doubt kind of performance, no doubt win. That was nice, and it also builds on the reputation that Wisconsin football has been building up for years and years and years, which still on a national scale just doesn't seem to get the respect that it deserves. And I think that winning this game at the end of the year, capping off a 13-1 season, just adds to that pile of undoubted success, so that if the Badgers are sitting there at seed 5 or 6 again next year, it's just another thing for the committee to look at and be like, well, it's undeniable. The Badgers should be right at the top there. So,
looking ahead a little bit to next season, I guess I'll say what I think, and then I'll let you guys respond. But obviously, a strong point this season for the Badgers was their defense. They have some questions with their secondary next year, which I'm sure Jim Leonard will figure out. I have no doubt about that. But one thing I want to touch on, the offense. Out of 11 starters on the offense this year, 10 are returning.
Yeah.
The only person they're losing is obviously Troy Fumagalli, who's graduated. But the future looks bright for the Badgers.
Yeah,
both in conference play and on the national stage.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when your offense wasn't it was your weak point this year.
Yeah.
And that was very open. Every time you heard the Badgers on ESPN or wherever else, the offense was the weak point. So to get 10 of those 11 starters back, they had a huge game in the Orange Bowl. I mean, that's one of the most respected bowls out there, and they got a big win behind that offense. So you're ending the season on the right note, and now you're going back with 10 of those 11. Obviously, you're losing your second biggest target, but size-wise, your biggest.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's looking bright.
yeah.
And before you respond, Jake, a huge thing, obviously, all 5 of their offensive linemen returning.
Right.
That's huge, especially with how great of a season Jonathan Taylor had. But
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, this win down in the Rose Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, it exposes us to another area of the country. We're not just
recruiting talent.
Yeah, recruiting, exactly. That's where I was going. The recruiting class is not that great this year as it typically is. We're in like the 30s to 50s a lot of years. So hopefully Badger success just keeps exposing us to other high-level places like Florida, Texas, areas like that. And that'll be good for the Badgers in the long run. We have that quarterback coming in who's supposed to be a super, super high-level recruit. And
yeah.
He's from, what state is he from?
I think he's from Arizona.
Yeah, somewhere far away. But that's my whole point.
Yeah,
We're finally getting recruits.
Yeah, touching quick before we move on to Badger basketball. Obviously, it's a year away, but I saw some projections for the class of 2019, and the Badgers already have a top 5 recruiting class for the class of 2019, and they're in a heavy recruiting battle with other schools for LA Chargers tight end Hunter Henry. His younger brother's the top-ranked tight end in the country for the class of 2019. So if they can get him, that'd be huge, no doubt.
That would be awesome.
So going to the hardwood now, the Badgers basketball team struggling this season, no doubt. Losing both games they played last week to Iowa and Michigan State. Happ led the Badgers with 23 points against Michigan State. They dropped a game at home against Nebraska last night. They now find themselves at 10-13 overall and 3-7 in conference play. Jake, what's wrong with the Badgers, man?
Way too many things to name. I'm just gonna say in a nutshell, they're not getting very much help. It's almost kind of like a minuscule version of what is going on with the Bucks. Ethan Happ is not being able to play to his full ability because he's not getting any help or support from anywhere else on the floor. They're not shooting well from the outside. They're not doing anything. Our young stars, these young guys like Kobe King, who are supposed to come in and impact the game right away. Trice, yeah, they're averaging less than 6 points a game. Hardly. They're not impacting the game. They're not creating freedom for Ethan Happ, as I mentioned. And another thing is the Badgers need to get to the line. If you look through a lot of their losses, they're like 3 for 11, 4 for 7, shooting from the line all night, stuff like that. And then if you look at their wins, they're like 17 of 25 or 18 of 30. They're getting to the line, they're scoring points, and especially when it's struggling coming from other areas, I think that's something huge that they need to be really good from the line.
Yeah, so to answer your question, what's wrong with the Badgers? What's wrong with the Badgers is they don't have Bronson Koenig, Jack Showalter, Nigel Hayes, and the rest of them, right? Because this isn't the team that we're used to seeing. We've been spoiled the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Definitely, without a doubt.
So should fans be worried was the second half of your question, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
No. I mean, things are looking up. You had 2 big injuries at the beginning of the year, Kobe King being one of them, the up-and-coming freshman. So I think they'll be okay. Obviously not this season. This season's already likely gone. They're not making the tournament.
They're not making the NIT at this rate.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got to look toward the future. I think we'll be okay. Kobe King's going to be around for a while. Some of the other lower classmen, if you will. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, well, you guys answered my open-ended question. I was going to ask you if you think they're going to make the tournament this year, but I'll chime in as well. I don't think they're going to make the tournament this year, so it's going to be the first time in over a decade that they don't play in March. So after this next quick commercial break, we'll be back to recap Bucks basketball and the recent Brewer moves.
Hey you! Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SBTV is the place for you. At SBTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SBTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SBTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Last Monday, the Milwaukee Bucks fired head coach Jason Kidd, along with 3 assistant coaches. Over 3.5 seasons with the Bucks, Kidd had a record of 139 and 152. Was this the right move? And did the timing of this surprise you? I saw or heard a report earlier today that they're going to wait until the All-Star break to fire him. What do you think, Alex?
The move was the right one.
Yes.
The timing surprising, yeah.
Yes.
Was it right? I don't know. Sure. I don't run the organization for a reason. However, the move was absolutely correct. Jason Kidd isn't a coach. He's a really, really Hall of Fame, really good Hall of Fame basketball player.
Point guard, yeah.
Yeah. Not a Hall of Fame coach. He did some things, but a lot of them were questionable. A lot of the moves he made, substitutions, timing of things, timeout calls. Hit me. Remember that when he was with the Nets? Had the player run into him so he could spill the water all over the floor, get an extra timeout. Yeah. Good move. Timing, eh.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel about the timing as though everybody went into this season with high hopes, including Jason Kidd, and I don't think anybody was really thinking about firing Jason Kidd going into the season. Maybe there was that, but the fact that they made the Bledsoe trade and they mortgaged their near future, their upcoming future, our next 2 first-round picks for Bledsoe, in my mind, it meant we were supposed to win now. We were supposed to win and do really well. And after that trade, we slumped even more than we were. We fell all the way back to an 8 or 9 seed. So I think the timing of it it made sense because they gave him a chance. They went all in by making that trade. And all they did was slump. If Jason Kidd if they would have went the opposite direction, I think Jason Kidd's still coaching this team right now and next year. But I think it was because of that trade. It was the final straw. They just weren't. They were living in mediocrity. Yeah. And I think Giannis will realize no matter how bad he wanted to save Kidd's job, I think if somebody else comes in there and all of a sudden turns this around into an awesome, successful, winning program, I think Giannis is going to be like, oh man, this is what we could have been doing for the past 2 years. So
Joe Prunty's the interim coach for the rest of the season. Real quick, first name that pops into your head. Anybody you want to see the Bucks target for the vacancy? I'm thinking Mark Jackson. That was top of my head.
That was going to be the first name I said. Maybe which Van Gundy isn't coaching.
Stan. Yeah.
Whichever one's out there. I mean,
whichever one
all
works
of them
for
have a pretty
ESPN,
solid track record. So, and Mark Jackson is definitely the first name I think of.
There's Mark Jackson and there's Monty Williams who have been around the block. Monty Williams has worked with Anthony Davis before, so he knows how to work with a lengthy superstar. I would like to see someone exciting like Jay Wright from Villanova.
I've also heard that Tony Bennett from Virginia.
Wow. We talked about this on the Sports Beat the other night. Actually, Tony Bennett just held Clemson to 38 points. His teams
obviously has a relationship with Malcolm
Brogdon. His teams are notorious for playing amazing defense and quality offense. He's from Wisconsin.
Ties.
So I would say Jay Wright or Tony Bennett would be great.
That'd be great.
All right, moving to baseball now. Baseball, can't wait. The Milwaukee Brewers surprised many around the world of baseball when on Friday they made 2 huge moves. The first one, they acquired Christian Yelich from the Marlins for outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monty Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. They then signed free agent outfielder Lorenzo Cain to a 5-year, $80 million deal, the largest free agent contract in Brewers history. Guys, what do you think of these moves? I love them both. And they also signed Matt Albers to a 2-year deal today to help the bullpen as well.
Yeah, I think they're exciting. I'm happy to see the Brewers are finally spending some money. They're making some moves.
If you have
they're
the money, spend it.
Exactly. They're bringing in some names, not like huge top-of-the-market names, but recognizable, good names that get you excited. And we've been in the bottom 3 of spending them for the league for entire payroll forever, for our entire existence. The Brewers showed they have something. They have a great nucleus last year. This is a young, exciting team. Spend the money. I'd say let's go even get one more good quality starting pitcher, somebody that's really going to make a huge impact.
Chris Archer. Alex, your thoughts?
It's great to see someone aggressive at the helm.
Yes.
Like David Stearns. This guy's fantastic. I spoke with Zach Davies, Brewers pitcher, yesterday on the podcast The Bandwagon. And Davies is so thrilled with the signings they've made.
He was so excited he broke his phone.
He broke the screen. His Twitter blew up a little bit. He exaggerated, but no, seriously, he's so excited, especially with the outfielder Yelich. Yelich and Cain, obviously grabbing those 2 guys with Braun behind him potentially, unless he moves to first base. He said it's finally nice to see he's a part of a team where management has enough faith in the guys they have to go get some pieces, and he says they're going to be legitimate contenders this year. So Zach Davies is calling a shot.
Yeah, definitely.
If Braun moves to first, that would be great in my mind. I think it would, especially if he's good at it, it would solve a lot of problems. But I still think one of the outfielders is going to have to be on the move. And in my mind,
Santana likely.
In my mind, it's Broxton for a few different reasons, but.
All right, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we'll break down the end of the Packers season and give you our Super Bowl 52 predictions.
How can you get involved with student media at UWSP? Connecting with your campus television station, SBTV, is easy. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Vine, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Pinterest, follow us on Instagram, or connect with us on Google+. But of course, the best way for you to get involved and stay up to date with all that is happening at our station is to stop by our studio. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at UWSP, Studio B, Room 121. You can also drop by our office, Room 130, for more information on station happenings. We can't wait to get you involved. Come join us at SPTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back to the show. The Packers finished their season with a record of 7-9. They missed the playoffs. The team made several big changes this offseason. The biggest were Dom Capers being fired and Ted Thompson being reassigned in the front office. Brian Gutekunst is the new general manager. Joe Philbin's brought back. He's a new offensive coordinator. And Mike Pettin is the new defensive coordinator. Guys, what are your thoughts on all these moves?
It's great to see some changes. And it's kind of been a long time coming for quite a few of those, but maybe
especially Dom and Ted.
Exactly, but maybe the time's right. They didn't make the playoffs. Obviously, it showed how many flaws the Packers truly have with Aaron Rodgers out. If the Packers didn't have Aaron Rodgers, they would be like a 4-12 team every single year. So it really showed that it's time to make some changes defensively, offensively. Mike Pettine, great addition, I think. Former Cleveland Browns head coach. Nice to have Joe Philbin back. I mean, when he was here previously, the Packers' offense was top 3 in the league. I was going to say he led
Aaron Rodgers was at his best.
He led some of the all-time great Green Bay offenses. So it's good to see him back. And I always slaughter it. I can't say it. I'm gonna try though. Brian Gutekunst. I got it right. Never mind.
There you go.
It seems like he's an aggressive guy. Really.
And he's gonna test free agency.
Yes.
As for all the outsider fans that may tune into this when it's up on YouTube. For Packer fans, having a GM that says we're going to try and bring in free agents, you have no idea how great that sounds.
Needed free agents instead of a questionable tight end when we already had a tight end who just made the play, the catch of the year the previous.
Yeah.
Making correct moves. That's what I'm hoping Gutekunst does.
What are your thoughts on this?
Overall, I'm super excited as a Packers fan. If we could have had this exact staff 3 years ago or something like that,
Aaron Rodgers might have another 2.
Yeah,
maybe another 2 Super Bowl.
I'm hoping we make the very best of what we have with Rodgers the next 2 to 3 seasons. I think it's going to be an exciting thing for all Packers fans, everybody around the organization. It's just a new feel. It's a new look, and it's something different than what we've come to know and expect for the last, feels like 10 years almost. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the draft. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I think we should take a pass rusher with our first choice, but I mean, Gutekunst has every single chance to be successful and every single chance to get Packers fans on his side and glorifying him. Like he can blow the job that Ted Thompson did out of the water, I think. So.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to our last segment of the show, there's a pretty big football game this Sunday, Super Bowl 52, and it's time for our game predictions and also Super Bowl MVP predictions. So, Alex, you want to go first with your game prediction?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think it's hard to pick against the Patriots. Sorry, Bernard. But I got to go Patriots. It's going to be a close one. It always is for the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Let's go 21-17 Patriots.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think it'll be a little bit of a feeling out process in the first half. The Eagles defense, I'm sure, will show up, play well, but Brady's going to do Brady. I don't know if it'll be Amendola or who's going to step up huge, but Patriots are going to find a way to win. Gronk's supposed to be back, and I think they beat him by at least a clean touchdown. I would say like 24-17 score.
I think what Alex said, it's definitely going to be a close game. I have a feeling it's going to come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. I think Tom Brady's going to be a little too much, so I'll go 24-20 Patriots.
Unanimous.
24-20.
Super Bowl MVP predictions, if you wish.
I'm going to be as bland as I possibly could be. I picked the Patriots to win, and I'm picking Tom Brady for MVP.
I'm picking Tom Brady, or as I mentioned before, whichever random person steps up.
Like James White, who deserved it last year. Yeah.
Whoever has 15 catches, 170 yards and 3 touchdowns, miraculously, that's who my MVP is going to be.
All right, I'm going to go with the former Badger, James White. Should have won it last year. He's going to win it this year. Well, that's all the time we have for today on the show. Thanks to Jake and Alex for joining me. Our first big show coming back from break. A big thank you to all our technical staff for making all this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SBTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SBTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer athletic information. We'll see you next week on The Locker Room.